Welcome to class. It's week 4 and we're ready to look at the assignments that are coming up. Now, as usual, go to your home page, check for any new announcements, and then we're going to go directly to the week 4 screen to see what we have. There are two major things I want to talk about in this week's lecture. The first one will be the discussion. I'm going to go into that, but I also want to let you know that you have another paper coming up that's going to be due at the end of week number 5, and I want to spend some time in this session talking about what I expect there and give you some tips and hints about how you should proceed. But let's take a look at the discussion requirements first. So this week's discussion question says, what do you define as unique leadership approaches? And then, how do unique leadership approaches differ from innovative leadership approaches? And finally, discuss and give examples of leadership approaches that may make a significant impact on responding to the external factors that are outside an organization's control. Well, when I read this, I was a bit puzzled exactly what they meant, so I spent some time Googling around to find out if there was a distinct definition for unique leadership and a distinct definition for innovative leadership, and I basically couldn't find anything. So I think we're going to spend a little time on those two questions and more time in the discussion post on the last question, and you should be able to make use of some of the research you did in week number 3 paper about leadership and how it affects an organization's ability to deal with its environment. In this particular case, we're going to be looking at external factors from the organization, such as regulations or competition or changes in technology that require the organization to change its direction, and the leadership approaches that are effective under those sort of situations. Okay, so pay more attention on your discussion post to the last question, and if you can come up with a definition of a leadership approach, a unique one and a innovative approach, that's fine. However, it's going to be, everybody's going to have a different definition as far as I can tell. So the next thing I want to discuss is the week 5 paper that's coming up. I know you just finished your week 3 paper, and it's hard to start thinking about the next paper, but the schedule says that we will be working on that, finishing that up next week in week number 5. And again, it's a 20-page paper explaining the theories and concepts of several different leadership theories. Now, the good thing about this is it's fairly clear what the assignment is, and the leadership theories that are presented here are well known. They're what we call seminal works in the field. They've stood the test of time. They appear in just about every textbook on management or leadership, so you should have no trouble finding a lot of information about these. So you're going to explain them and define them and talk about them, and then after that you're going to develop an innovative model that would be an appropriate leadership style for a complex and multifaceted organization. And that should be quite interesting. Again, your week 3 research paper should provide you with a wealth of information that you've already researched to start thinking about how you're going to patch this together. And so in a way, I think it's going to be a little bit easier paper for you to work on, since you already are developing your working knowledge about the field. Okay, so you're going to be adding in these new leadership theories, but the second part of this, where you're going to be writing up about an organization, you should already have quite a few ideas about that. Now, don't freak out. I think you're going to be able to handle this. Again, what I said in my scholarly writing lecture was that you have to learn to write a lot and write quickly and write accurately. That's the keys to success, really, in the academic field. So let's take a look at what the paper should have. First of all, it should have an introduction where you talk about what you're going to be writing about, what the topic is, how you're going to cover it, how you're going to approach it. And then you should have the first part of the body of the paper should be either a taxonomy of the leadership theories that are alluded to in the question. And a taxonomy is like a table with various categories where you talk about, it's labeled what the theory is, who the authors were, what the theory entailed, how it differed from other theories. So you kind of do a comparison in somewhat of a tabular form, showing what the leadership theories that are required, what they are. A different type of approach might be to develop it in chronological order, so you kind of follow the theories through when they were developed, what they were built upon. So you'll find some of the theories came about at a certain period of time where leadership thinking was at a certain stage, and then the next theory came along at a later time. So you can kind of see the development and evolution of these theories. So I would say, one or the other approach to deal with the theories is probably a good way to set up that part of the paper. And then the second part of the paper is going to be dealing with applying the theories to a complex organization and coming up with your own concept of how all these various ideas about leadership could create kind of a new approach to leadership. You'll be able to use the ideas that you developed in the Week 3 paper, so like I said, even though you've only got a couple of weeks to put this together, I think it's doable given that you already have a baseline of information and a way of approaching it. And finally, the papers should have a conclusion. So the keys to success for week number 4: plan ahead. The discussion post shouldn't take you too much time, but the getting your information together for your next paper should be where you spend your time. So look ahead at the upcoming week's assignment. Maybe look all the way through the end of the class and see what your last paper is going to be about. And I suggest that because your research time, your time in the online library looking for articles that you want to use that are pertinent and relevant to your approach you're taking on your paper, if you find something that you say, well, I'm not going to use this in this paper, but I'm going to be needing that for this paper, this one coming up, you should, bookmark those or however you want to save that information, so when it comes time to write the next paper, you're well prepared. And back in the old days, before online libraries was the way that you did things and you were doing your research, you'd be pulling out physical journals and books and things like that, and then you'd have your little set of 3x5 note cards and writing your notes from each of your research sources onto these note cards. And then when you start to put your paper together, you basically organize your note cards and then take from what your notes were and then transpose those onto your paper. Well, now with the availability of online information, electronic information, I think this is a good approach to begin using as you start to develop your research library. Basically, you should have a file or a folder related to each topic that you're interested in, and when you find articles that are relevant, maybe you don't copy the whole article, but you take down your notes and file those so that at some point in the future when you want to come back and you need that, you're not going all the way back to the library to try to find that article that you thought was very good about transformational leadership or transactional leadership or path goal leadership, but you've actually got the information that you need all filed away in a particular folder, and then you just go to the folder and then start copying and pasting into your paper. Just a suggestion. Try to avoid getting burned out. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint, and those who succeed are the ones who can kind of handle the long distance running. So avoid having too much problems, and you should do just fine. Don't freak out and pace yourself. So until next time, if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me the normal ways. Certainly don't worry about asking me questions that you think, well, this doesn't make sense, or I ought to know this. If you don't know it, then that's my job, is to provide you with the information that you need to do your work as efficiently as possible. So until next time, goodbye and good luck.